Hey people, get ready to crush everyday IELTS and CELPIP tests for all modules and make your dreams come true. I'm your motivator and I'll be guiding you through the test prep videos. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or you'll be missing out on some serious preparation.
Section 1. You will hear a woman inquiring about a community garden membership. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Good morning, Greenfield Community Garden. How can I help you today?
Oh, hello there. I'm ringing to find out about joining the garden, actually. I spotted your notice board in the library and thought I'd give you a call.
Wonderful, yes. We'd love to have more members. I can take down a few details now if you like, get you started on the inquiry form.
Yes, that'd be lovely, thank you.
Right then, could I start with your surname, please?
It's Hartley. Hartley.
Hartley, got that. And your first name?
Diane.
Diane. Lovely. And your address, could I take the house number first?
Yes, of course. It's 27 Birchwood Lane.
Birchwood Lane, lovely. And do you happen to have your postcode handy?
Let me just think. Yes, it's WR5, 2PQ.
WR5, 2PQ, perfect. And a contact number, mobile, ideally?
Yes. It's 07714 253 881.
07714 253 881. Brilliant, got that. Now, have you had a chance to look at what sort of plot you'd be interested in? We've got a few different options available.
Oh, I saw something about raised beds in the leaflet. I think a raised bed would suit me perfectly, actually. I've got a bit of knee trouble, so bending right down to ground level is rather a struggle these days.
Absolutely, raised beds are very popular for exactly that reason. We do have a couple available at the moment. Now, in terms of membership, we offer monthly or annual. The annual works out considerably cheaper over the course of the year, of course.
Right, well I'm fairly committed to giving this a proper go, so I'll opt for the annual membership, I think. Yes, annual.
Annual, excellent choice. And when were you hoping to start? We can usually arrange a welcome induction quite quickly.
Well, I'm away on holiday for a fortnight, so, would the 14th of July be possible? The 14th of July?
Let me just check the calendar. Yes, the 14th of July is absolutely fine. I'll pencil that in for your induction session.
Brilliant, that's great news.
Now, one last thing, we run several workshops throughout the year and it really helps us to know what our members are most interested in. Is there anything in particular you'd like to learn about?
Oh, how interesting. What sort of topics do you usually cover?
We've done sessions on composting, pruning, crop rotation, and actually, we're just launching a brand new one on seed saving, the idea being you collect and store your own seeds from season to season rather than buying new ones each year.
Oh, seed saving, that sounds absolutely fascinating. That's exactly the sort of thing I've always wanted to learn properly. Yes, please do put me down for seed saving.
Seed saving it is. Brilliant. Right, I think that covers everything for now. I'll pop a confirmation email over to you shortly, if that's all right.
That's perfect. Thank you ever so much for your help.
Not at all. We'll look forward to seeing you on the 14th. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye, thanks again. Cheerio.
That is the end of section 1. You now have some time to check your answers to section 1. Section 2. You will hear a zoo guide explaining the layout and animal exhibits. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 20.
Welcome to Greenfield Wildlife Park. My name is Sarah, and I'll be your guide for today's orientation. Before you start exploring, I'd like to give you a brief overview of the park's layout and some of the highlights you really won't want to miss. You've just entered through the Heritage Gate, our main entrance, which was originally constructed in 1934 and is something of a local architectural landmark. We're very proud of it. From here, the park spreads out across 6 distinct animal zones, each one themed around a different region of the world: Africa, Asia, the Americas, Australasia, the Arctic, and our Ocean World section. Let's begin with the African Savanna Zone, which is consistently one of our most visited areas. One important rule to be aware of: food and drinks are strictly prohibited anywhere inside this zone. The animals, particularly the giraffes and zebras, have been known to approach the open viewing platforms, and we must ensure their carefully managed diet is not disrupted. Photography is absolutely encouraged, and pushchairs are perfectly welcome on the wide, paved pathways throughout. However, if the elephants are high on your list today, I'm afraid you may be a little disappointed. The elephant enclosure is currently closed for renovation. We are significantly upgrading the habitat, expanding the water feature, and installing new enrichment structures for our herd of 4. We anticipate the work will be completed by late August, so do check our website if you're planning a return visit. Moving on to Ocean World, the penguin feeding display is always a firm crowd favorite. There are 2 sessions each day. The morning session runs at 10 o'clock, and the afternoon display takes place at 3:15. I strongly recommend arriving at least 10 minutes beforehand, as the seating area around the pool fills up very quickly indeed. Now I'd like to draw your attention to a few of our specific facilities and what makes each of them special. First, the Nocturnal House. It is open 7 days a week, however, please be aware that entry to this exhibit requires an additional charge of £2 per person, on top of your standard park admission. This fee goes directly towards funding the highly specialized lighting rigs and climate control systems that the animals inside depend on. Next up is our children's petting area. This is brand new. It only opened this year, back in March, and it has already become one of the most popular stops for families. You'll find it situated just behind the Asian elephant viewing platform in the eastern part of the park. It's a wonderful chance for younger visitors to interact with some of our smaller, gentler residents. For those with an interest in wildlife conservation, I highly recommend a visit to our Conservation Discovery Center. We are particularly proud of this building because it recently received a national award for its environmental design. The entire structure was built using sustainable timber and recycled materials, and the solar panels installed on the roof now generate over 60% of the center's total energy requirements. It really is a remarkable achievement. And finally, towards the southern end of the park, you'll find the jungle walkthrough. This is one of our most immersive experiences. You literally walk through a recreated rainforest environment with free-roaming birds and insects overhead. The walkthrough is fully accessible for all visitors and features a series of interactive displays that are specifically designed for young children, touch panels, atmospheric sound stations, and live puppet theater shows that run at regular intervals throughout the day. A couple of practical points before I let you go. If you or anyone in your group requires any medical assistance during your visit, our first aid station is located directly opposite the lion enclosure on the eastern path. It is clearly signposted in red and white, so it's very easy to find. Guided tours depart from the Heritage Gate at 11 o'clock and again at 2 in the afternoon. Each tour lasts approximately 90 minutes and covers the main highlights of all 6 zones. Please do help yourself to a printed map from the rack just inside the Heritage Gate. They're free of charge and very useful for navigating the larger zones. On behalf of all of us here at Greenfield Wildlife Park, I hope you have a truly wonderful day. Our staff are stationed throughout the grounds and are always delighted to help.
That is the end of Section 2. You now have some time to check your answers to Section 2. Section 3. You will hear a student and academic advisor discussing course choices and career paths. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30.
Good afternoon. Please sit down. I understand you're both here to discuss your module choices. Tom, shall we start with you?
Thanks, Dr. Evans. I've mostly decided, but I wanted to check a few things. I'm definitely taking environmental science. I know some students choose it for the field work opportunities, and others for the high-grade weighting, but my main reason is that it fits my goal of working in environmental consultancy.
A sound choice. Always let your career goal guide you. Now, have you looked at research methods? It's compulsory for all second-year students, there's no opt-out, and swapping it for a statistics elective isn't permitted.
I wasn't aware it was compulsory. I was planning to take urban planning alongside it.
Urban planning is an option, but research methods is non-negotiable. What concerns you about urban planning, Sarah?
Honestly, the assessment load. There are 2 written assignments and a group project all in one semester. I'm just not sure I can manage that alongside my core modules.
The volume of assessment is the challenge, the content itself is perfectly manageable. Tom, you look as though you have something to add.
Yes, When picking optional modules, what matters most in your view?
Alignment with your long-term career objectives, above everything else. Not the lecturer's reputation or the credit points on offer, your future career path should drive every decision.
That's useful to know. I do need to think harder about where I actually want to end up.
Exactly. Tom, is your summer placement confirmed?
Yes, I've arranged a placement with a government environmental agency. I considered a private sustainability consultancy and a voluntary project abroad, but the agency gives me the best kind of experience for my goals.
Excellent. That will serve you very well. Sarah, before the enrollment deadline, I'd strongly recommend attending an open lecture for the urban planning module. Reading the handbook only goes so far. Sitting in on an actual session will help you decide far more effectively.
That's a great idea. I'll definitely make time to go.
Good. Now, before we wrap up, how did your recent group project go overall?
Reasonably well, though the literature review took much longer than we'd planned. We kept uncovering new sources and genuinely struggled to draw a line under it.
For me, the group presentation was the most challenging part. Standing up in front of the whole cohort and fielding their questions was genuinely the hardest thing I've faced on this course.
I'd also say our data collection methods need more research. We relied on some emerging techniques, but the evidence base simply isn't robust enough yet to apply them with confidence.
Understood. What about the field visit to the recycling plant? I know some groups found it rather disappointing.
Ours was actually better than expected. The site manager gave us far more access than we'd anticipated, and we came away with much richer data than we'd hoped for.
Wonderful. It sounds as though you both have a clear sense of your next steps. Let's schedule a follow-up meeting closer to the deadline to finalize your selections.
Thank you, Dr. Evans.
Yes, thank you very much.
That is the end of Section 3. You now have some time to check your answers to Section 3. Section 4. You will hear University Lecture on how ocean currents regulate the Earth's climate. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Today's lecture focuses on one of the most critical yet frequently overlooked systems that regulate our planet's climate, ocean currents. These vast movements of seawater function as a global heat distribution network, transferring thermal energy from the tropics towards the poles and profoundly shaping the climates we experience on land. By the end of this session, I hope you will appreciate just how dependent terrestrial life truly is on the behavior of our oceans. Let us begin with the fundamental mechanism that drives ocean circulation. On a global scale, the movement of ocean water is primarily controlled by differences in temperature and salinity, a process known as thermohaline circulation. The word itself derives from the Greek terms for heat and salt. In polar regions, surface water loses heat to the atmosphere, becoming progressively colder and therefore denser. If this water also carries high salinity, a result of evaporation or sea ice formation, it becomes denser still, and as a consequence, it sinks to the ocean floor. This downward movement drives a slow but enormously powerful global circulation pattern, which scientists commonly refer to as the ocean conveyor belt, a phrase first popularized by the oceanographer Wallace Broecker back in 1991. Now let us consider how this circulation regulates regional climates. Perhaps the most well-known example is the Gulf Stream, which transports warm water from the tropical Atlantic northward along the eastern seaboard of North America and across towards Western Europe. This current delivers a tremendous amount of thermal energy to the atmosphere above it, keeping temperatures in countries such as the United Kingdom and Norway far warmer than their latitude would otherwise suggest. Indeed, without the influence of the Gulf Stream, UK winters could be significantly colder. Some estimates place this difference at as much as 10 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, in the Pacific Ocean, a phenomenon called upwelling, where deep, cold water rises to the surface, is of immense ecological importance. This upwelled water is extraordinarily rich in nutrients, supporting vast populations of fish and sustaining some of the world's most productive marine ecosystems. Ocean currents also play a fundamental role in regulating the global carbon cycle. The deep ocean acts as a massive reservoir for carbon dioxide, absorbing roughly 25% of the co-emitted by human activities every year. This absorption occurs primarily at high latitudes, where cold surface water, which can dissolve considerably more gas than warm water, sinks downward, carrying carbon with it into the deep ocean. However, scientists are increasingly alarmed by evidence that this process is being disrupted. Fresh meltwater from the Greenland ice sheet is pouring into the North Atlantic in growing volumes, reducing the density of surface water and weakening the sinking process that drives the entire circulation system. Measurements gathered over the past 2 decades indicate that the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, or AMOC, has weakened by approximately 15% since the mid-20th century. Some climate models project a further slowdown of 30% by the end of this century if greenhouse gas emissions continue unchecked. The consequences of such a reduction would be far-reaching. Temperatures across Europe would fall dramatically, rainfall patterns over the Amazon basin would shift substantially, and critically, sea levels along the eastern coast of North America would rise as the pulling effect of the current on ocean water gradually diminishes. A landmark study published in 2021 warned that the AMOC may be nearing a critical tipping point, though researchers continue to debate the precise timeline for such an event. In summary, ocean currents are not merely a feature of the marine environment, they are a cornerstone of the Earth's entire climate system, governing temperature, carbon storage, and precipitation patterns across the planet. As we continue to alter the composition of our atmosphere, understanding and safeguarding these circulation systems becomes not just an academic concern, but an urgent global priority.
That is the end of Section 4. You now have some time to check your answers to Section 4. That is the end of the IELTS listening test. You now have some time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
Hey people, how was your test? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or you'll be missing out on some serious fun. See you tomorrow!